Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? My name is Chidi. I'm reaching you from Toronto, Canada. It's the day I've waited for, and I am so excited to have one of the powerful icons that we have in the Nigeria film industry. And let me just say Nigerian creative industry because everything is not just film, and Nollywood, but this person is the kind of person you say, been there, done that, okay? So I'm not going to waste your time for those of you who are going to watch this later, who are not watching it live. I'll be bringing her in shortly, but please go ahead and share this video and make sure that you invite the people that should be here because people have a proverb that when you climb an iroko tree, you should pluck all the firewood that you can because you don't get to climb it every day. So please, let's make very good use of this opportunity. And I have the pleasure of having in the studio my auntie, my sister, a superstar, Hilda uh, Dokubo. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. I know out of excitement, I didn't do a proper introduction, but just bear with me. I need to, I need time to compose myself.
That's
But
okay.
it's so good to have you in the studio today. I've always looked forward to having you, and I can't I can't describe enough how excited I am that you're here. And I'm going to start from where I normally start, and that is by asking you, who is Hilda?
Who is Hilda? First of six children. Um, Nigerian, resident in Nigeria, educated, mother, sister, wife, like plenty. As an artist, I'm a dancer, singer, writer, actor, of course, director, producer. I've worked on all um, media forms. I've worked on radio, TV, stage, film, and even now on the alternative media and of course social media. So what else? Plenty. I'm a writer. I have a published book and I have several articles in several educational journals. So that's me. I'm also an activist, social political activist, and a politician. So plenty, very long CV, depending on which part of it you want to look at this evening.
Awesome. Okay. I am not using my phone. I'm not using my desktop. So today, God will help me. It's just, I don't know. I'm finding it difficult to bring myself in. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's good. That's good. Now take us through your childhood, and I'll tell you why I do this. With my guests. you know. And just for the record, I didn't tell my guest what I was gonna ask her or prepare her. It's as raw as it gets. What you see is what you
Mhm.
get. So the reason I do this is because I don't like people that just happen. I don't believe in people just dropping out of the sky and then they just become. So I like to search for authenticity, and I get to see this when I know where they're coming from. So if you just give us a sneak peek into uh, Hilda, you know, growing up and what your life experiences were, if you were to just summarize that in a few seconds, what would that be? You can go as detailed as you want to, but we really
I won't. If I choose to be very detailed, we'll probably spend the whole day just analyzing that. But let me just try. I grew up in town, Port Harcourt, the
Mm,
area which later became identified as Colombia. Colombia because um, kids at some point, because of the introduction of politics, got really involved in drugs and all of that. But that's the neighborhood that I grew up in as a child. Um, I attended St. Mary's State School, which is a Catholic school. At age 7, I became a radio kid presenter for a children's program that was called Young Brains. And then from radio to television as a teenage presenter. And then I became also the continuity announcer for the first state television station that was established in Rivers State. And then from there, I went on to the university, Red Theatre, and got out during youth service. We began to play with what is today known as Nollywood, a child born out of the hunger of a few graduates who didn't want to go looking for any job because there was really no job, and there were very few places for people who had graduated either through literary art, theater art, English studies. You know, those of us from the humanities, we had very little space for expressions of whatever it was we had studied. Um, and so, you know, there was that hunger to do something because we had seen a few people do something. Um, with the language film at the time, although it was also not very popular. But the fact that they were doing something motivated also the things that we began to do. And you know, the rest of it, as they say, is history. Because when we went for that first audition, most of the people that I met at the audition were people that I had met in the course of attending NUTAF, Nigerian University Theatre Arts Festivals. And you know, we basically all knew ourselves because at the time there were very few of us in classes. We were either 30 in the first year and maybe 28, 27 would graduate and all of that. So every school had those small numbers in each year. So basically that. So we all knew ourselves, especially those of us who were very active in our schools. We knew ourselves, we knew the students in the other departments, you know, across the country, because we would all attend NUTAF anyways. So that's how I started. I started off from radio and then went on to TV, then stage, then starting off as a presenter, then a dancer on stage, and then an actor later on. So, you know, kind of been through all of that and then ended up um, film where, yes, I started off as an actor, then became a director, producer, and in the course of producing and directing my own works, I also started writing. By the way, my major in the university was writing and production, not acting, because my diploma was already acting. So, and in my school at that time, if your major was writing, you were expected to produce, which would also mean that you direct the work that you have written because, as it said at the time, the script is lifeless until it is put on stage. So that's my long journey through the various art forms within the performative. That's where I am now.
thank you very much. Thank you for not disappointing me or for making my job easy. Because every time I pose every time I make this request out of my guest, I have to hold my heart, like I have to hold my breath because I don't know where they're going to take us to, you know. But I'm so happy that uh because like right from a very long time, like I told you in the text when I texted you the first time. Right from the very first time I came to really become interested in you and your talent. You never stopped. Like there was this thing that was authentic, you know, and there was this thing that it was like it was flawless when you took any part. You, who could I ascribe this to? It's like when Denzel Washington takes on a role, he makes it himself. It doesn't matter which role you put him. And I was telling you, even if you were a villain, you would he would just have to come through as a villain. There's the Washington. It can't be anybody else. And that's what I've seen when you took up roles. Any role you took up, there was that element of you that was unique. That it was only you that could play that role that way. And I dare say, even without you accepting it, that I'm sure you tweak your roles, you add things into the the the
The
the
truth is, when you give me a script,
yes.
and I've done my normal rituals of reading it through, scanning through, studying, and all of that, I start drawing up the biodata for that character. I start creating the human being that I see based off of the information that the writer had given. Things people said, people in the script, the other lives in the script said about the character that I was going to be playing. I would create this character that I intend to become, that I intend to live. And I would always run this this biodata that I have created, this character, this life that I have created. I would run it by the writer and the director to say, um, is this what you were thinking, or were you thinking differently? Because also, as a casting director, I know that the wow effect of an actor is in doing the extraordinary, the one thing that even the writer was not thinking, that you found out on your own, or that you introduced into the character, that made the character different from every other character that you probably have played or would play up to that time. Um, and so that has helped over time, because whether it was film where you got your script and just had a few hours, maybe a day to get on set, or stage where I have to rehearse minimum of 2 weeks, or radio where all I have is my prep time to read through the script before I go on to begin to give voice and life to the script that I have. I do the same thing. I do the same thing. It's the same ritual, because for me, my acting technique, whatever name you choose to give it, must be truthful and convincing. If it can't be truthful, then I will be doing a dirty job. And like I say, even to my own students, because I'm an acting coach now, the minute that anyone can identify that you are acting, it means you're doing a dirty job of your work.
Mhm, mhm,
Nobody
mhm,
Nobody should know that you're acting. Everybody should think that this is you. This is
mhm.
authentic you. They should go with you on this journey. They must suspend that disbelief. They must follow you and cry with you if you're in tears. Laugh with you when you are laughing. Be happy. Have
especially
reason to think.
especially the crying part. You,
Yes,
you
have
did.
reason. You must pull all the empathy from the person, which is where your emotional bank becomes your strength, right? You must bank up your emotions. You must learn to work on it the same way that the athlete would stay on the field practicing and over, building muscles, building strength, and all of that. Is the same way every actor is expected to keep building and enhancing their emotional bank, because you will always draw from it, because that's
Mm.
what you share with your audience. That's what you share with the story. That's what you share with the rest of the people on the cast. That's the life that you will live throughout that production. So
Wow.
when I hear, "Oh, you come very authentic," I say, "But that's my style. My style is truthful and convincing. That's my style. Whether I was employing Method or Meisner or Stanislavski or Brecht or whatever, for me, it has to be truthful and convincing. Everybody must come with me."
And I can tell you, you've done that so perfectly well. And that's why I said, especially the crying part, because you've managed to drag people into your world by force. And you made them cry with you. You made them, if you hated someone, oh my goodness, that person was in trouble in the movie because everybody came along with you
Yeah.
and they just dumped that whole thing on the other person. Okay,
Mhm.
so I learn, and correct me if I'm wrong, that, you know, when what makes actors, or creators be able to portray a character very perfectly, near perfectly, it's always because of an element of their expression. And you just talked about right now that you need to tap into your emotions, all right? So, are there experiences in life that you think have made it easy for you to store that bank of emotions that you easily reach into and utilize when you are on stage or when you're in character?
Chidi, everybody in this business must understand that research and understanding your society is important for you to be able to do this work.
Mhm.
On studying people, watching people closely, they may not know why, but you know why. Um, I experience the world differently. The way that I see a lot of things, I see them differently. And the reason I see them differently, and maybe sometimes also misunderstood, is because as an actor, what you must do for yourself is understand and create a backstory as to why you are saying, doing, acting, or reacting in a particular way towards a particular person at a particular time. You must know that. And when you establish that, that already, that social experience that you are putting together is what guides how you react or not react to it. For instance, if you gave me a slap and I immediately held my cheek and started saying, "You slap me, you slap me," that is stereotypical. Everybody knows that, that's what anybody, like regular
Mhm.
people, might do. But if I have created a very strong woman up to that slap, and you slap me and I go on and I hold my face and say, "What kind of weak woman be this?" You see, now I created a conflict between who she's been up to this point, right? So when you look at that social background of that person, it helps you also create the social background of this particular character. So at this point, if you slapped that woman, she'll probably just look at you, turn away. And then by the time she's turning back to you, you know that you will face a bit of her fire. Because even if she chose to bring her voice to the lowest, the fire that would be coming out from her eyes and the punctuations of the words will tell you this woman is not joking at this particular point. So, are there things in my life that um, I have used in guiding myself? Quite a lot. They may not be happening directly to me. They may be things that I've had to experience based off of what somebody else is going through. I do a whole lot of counseling and mentoring of young people, of women, and all of that. So I listen to stories, and sometimes these stories also have their own emotional impact on me, which of course aids also my acting skills. So yes, I draw from life experiences quite a lot, not um, only of things that affect me, but of things that affect society, of effects that affects people around me, and all of that. So it's a study of how do you call it, of your society and people. For me, that's what it is.
So, in essence, you really don't have to go through an experience to be able to to act that character
No, you
very well.
don't.
You
You
don't.
don't.
But you
You
just have
don't
to be
have.
very attentive, and you just have to be aware of your. And you can also do research, right?
Yes. And you can always ask yourself questions. You see, um, for acting, there's a basic question that would aid everyone. Ask yourself why. Just find the why. Why am I doing this? Why to this person? Why at this time? Why as response? Find the why of your lines. The why, because the why of your lines will give you the objective of that line. And you can say any sentence in at least four different ways. And the more you move the punctuations, the difference is introduced, right? So if you move your punctuation from one word to two words, it gives that sentence a different meaning. So the punctuations and the stresses where you put them changes a lot. So we need to always remember that sometimes it's you are the one who needs to create it, create this society in your head. So for an actor, imagination is a lot. It's nearly like everything when you are able to imagine beautifully, create lives, beautifully. And it's important for you to create, even when you really don't like the character, but you have to like what you have created of it. So if she's a very wicked person, you have to like the kind of wickedness that you have created. You have to, because for you to live it, you have to love it. You have to love it. And so create things that okay, man, this woman is mean, but gosh, I like her. That's what it is. And so you don't need to experience her. You don't have to lose anybody to be able to mourn somebody in a script. No, you don't have to. Because everywhere around you, there are people who have lost people, and you have had to go through certain kind of emotional exchange with them based off of that loss. So you've seen people in that condition, so you can tap from them.
All right. Thank you very much. People like you, I am so interested in making sure that you're honored and you get your due um, um, recognition. While we're still around, because I don't think we do a lot and enough of that in Nigeria. So it is very important for me to, as much as possible, let people understand that people like you are an icon and you are a living legend. Because of where I know you've come from and what I know you've done and what you've contributed in so many ways to our society and what you're still doing now. Because I look around, a lot of people who started with you, they kind of either they've retired or they've given up, or I don't know, they just stopped being active. But you always, I think you always reinvent yourself. You reinvent yourself. We see you doing a lot of things and see you very active. Now, this one is on the side. The one that just baffles me is when we look at you, with the way you look, the way your appearance, and the way you carry yourself. In fact, I always thought you were half caste. And then I see you dancing to your, I see you dancing your traditional dance, and I'm like, hold on, what's happening here? And this woman can dance like a real village woman, and still, when you speak your language,
Doc, I had said that I started off stage acting as a dancer, as a kid dancer.
mm,
Yes, so I don't only do my traditional dance. You'll be shocked that I do several other cultural dances
mm,
outside of mine. You see, the thing is, whatever it is you do or you intend to do, you must convince yourself that this is what you want to do and you give it your best shot.
mm,
I'm a very proud artist. I love what I do and I love where I come from, and I won't trade it for anything. Um, Besides that, the only way that you're able to defend your identity is by upholding its values. And one of the values that we have as Africans and as Nigerians are the things that we do in terms of storytelling, the things that we do in terms of our fabrics and our dances and our folklores and songs. And, you know, these are the things that preserves who we are, because in all of those things, we have put in our history, we have put in our culture, we have put in our values. So when I hear people say, oh, we have gone down on values, I know immediately that these people don't keep in touch with home. They don't keep in touch with their songs. They don't know that, because every time you sing any song, any cultural song, listen to the wordings, you will understand what I'm talking about. It's different from um, most of the things that we dance to in parties and all of that. This
Sure, 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 sure.
they're not the same, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's for me, like I said to you, understanding your society and people is something that interests me a lot, and I do the best that I can to keep them as fresh.
You do,
And
you do. You do a very good job, I must tell you. I especially when because when I knew I was going to interview you, and then I thought I knew you, but then when I went, it's only this past few days that I got to know so much, and the one that stood out so much, to me was just the dances, the cultural dances. When you are in your element, like you really, really love your people. You love. I saw even at the funeral. Yeah, there was a funeral where it was who was that? I forgot who it was. Was it?
yes,
Yeah, yeah. It was
grandma.
grandma. It was grandma, and then yeah, and then you were really, really dancing. You were dancing better than everyone. I said, you're supposed to be sophisticated and algebraic and everything. But no, you were digging in, you were better. Your facial expression, it was so, so real. I was really, really wowed. And it's something that I'm hoping that someone who is um, in the creative industry, now a younger person will come across this video and then hear you talk and understand what it's an embodied. It's a whole package, for you to be how you are. And I'm so so fascinated with what you told me, because that should it just it went to confirm the authenticity I was talking about, because looking at seeing you come through radio, where you had to deal radio required a lot more imagination, like than TV. Radio, you had to just, it was just your voice was painting pictures, your voice was, it was doing all of that. So I could see where you're coming from, and I'm satisfied with the authenticity and the originality. Now let's go back a little bit to Nollywood. Tell us a little bit of the early days of Nollywood. Who was playing what role in Nollywood? And I know there must be some nostalgia around
Uh,
that, because what you guys did then and how you had to improvise. I just keep wondering how you guys
No-
did it.
Nollywood, Nollywood is how do you call it? It's a dream come true for a whole lot of us, right? When we started, we just didn't know where it was going. Let's be honest, right? We created it out of nothing else other than big dreams and our ambition, to build something. What it was going to become, we had no idea. um, so before we got here, Nigeria had had a film era that went off because of insecurity and funding and so a whole lot of the Ogundes and co put away their cameras, because for you to develop the film, you had to go closest to South Africa, or
Yeah.
you definitely be going all the way to Europe. And that's also affected the work. Insecurity, people were now afraid to go out because of all the things. It was like now too in Nigeria, and so they lost that because people wanted to watch at home. So and then the television shows also didn't really, because they were all being controlled by the military at the time. You couldn't say the things you wanted to say. So we had marketers who were importing pirated films at the time and duplicating them on tapes, on cassettes, VHS cassettes, and
Mm.
selling them to people since the cinemas were already folding up. So they started selling these tapes. From the tapes, well, we started then at the tapes. So at this point, what was in the markets were like, those old works. People were trying to see what they could do with it, but majority of what we had were the Indian films, the Chinese films,
Mm.
and heavily pirated, very old
I
American.
knew I knew all the Indian actors, by the way, and the Chinese actors, and I could
Anita
sing.
Basha.
And
Okay, so
Darabia,
yeah, so we sang all the
all their
adulterated
songs.
Indian songs. So at this time, people also had VHS cameras that they were using to cover either weddings or
Mm.
funerals, birthdays, and used as the main head for dubbing these pirated works.
Yeah.
And Ogunjofor had to go to NEC, and then spoke to NEC about this beautiful film that he wanted to do, and he was living in bondage. He wanted the camera, like just had that exchange. When you don't have money, you just keep begging, help me, help me, help me. Nobody had money, and then the rest, as they would say, is history. So from there, we went on to Evil Passion, rituals, and at that time, what was also in front of all of us was ritual killings, people doing all the wrong things just to make money. And so it quickly caught the interest of everyone, and it continued to grow. We have moved from using VHS cameras to using SVHS to using digital cameras, SDs cameras, and then to using Betacam. And it's been like a serious long journey to now we're using like whatever it is they're using in Hollywood, we're using in Nigeria.
So let me
And
ask you, without getting into trouble, you need to drop names here. I know you're a very you're a courageous person. Who are the names that if they were to ask you who are the pioneers of Nollywood, what names would you drop? And again, so it looks to me like Living in Bondage was it. That was that film that
yes,
Nollywood could say
that was
this
that
where
seed, yes. So it will be like I said, okay, Ogunjofor speaking to Nick, Ken Nebue, right? So everyone else who came in as actor or um, as part of just putting the story together, or costume, like crew and everybody else was more like web. It was more like you contact you. So at the time it was tough for people to even want to be in this business. I recall us going to families to beg for their kids to be kid actors at the time, and they won't let us. They
Hmm.
won't let. And then talking to some people who are today big actors, and they will say, no, 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 I'm shy, I don't want to be in movies. But they're there today. And then a lot of people who lived abroad and were doing whatever it was they were doing, who today have reasons to come back um, home. So if we were looking at the first set of very strong people, it would be Okay, KOK, Dan, Sydney Diala, who we don't know where he is right now. Um, and Nana Edith, oh, quite a long list, yeah. And then, Liz, Gloria, myself, Auntie Necker of blessed memory, Jennifer of blessed memory, like a whole lot of people, Dolly Onachuku. Um, yeah, that would be the original house, if you
And
ask
what
me.
about you're missing Kenneth Okonkwo?
Oh yes, of course. I called him first.
Oh,
After
oh,
Fogo Joffa,
oh no,
then
no.
Nebwe, Ken Nebwe, and Kenneth Okonkwo.
Yes.
Dan Oligbo. Um, yeah, quite a big house. Ngozi Ezono, Ngozi Nwosu, Ngozi Waneto. Then we had like plenty of Ngozis.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it now. Jennifer Okere, Francis Agu, like a real big house
Yeah.
um, at the time. Some of them have relocated. They live abroad now. Some of them are, then Uncle Pete, who had come also from Big City of living in bondage onto film. Uncle Sam local, like real big house, right? And at that time, we had real professional performers, professional trained to do this work. Um, some out of age may have not, we really don't retire. We just take a little break, or we just wait for that beautiful script that is good enough to drag us out. Like Omoni had to drag me out to do one movie, and that one movie has an AMVCA nomination for Best
Oh
Actress.
wow. That's good.
So
That's good.
yes, so once in a while, somebody pulls you out to say, "Come," and then you read the script, and man, this script is too good to say no to. So you you agree to do the script. So we hardly do retire completely. Um, so yes, there are quite a lot of people, and then we also have some new ones. But I think the good and bad element that's been introduced is the fact that some directors are very lazy, very, very lazy. So they don't want to take time to audition or perhaps work with an actor to, you know, dissect that character. So they just go online and then they go to Instagram or Facebook, they look at the algorithms there. And by the way, the very good ones, especially the first, second generation of actors, are hardly on social media. It's
Mm,
from maybe the third or fourth generation that you have people who started off on social media, and so their numbers are in the millions
mm.
because they just knew how to at the time use social media. A lot of us came on social media like pretty late, very late, and so when they go on social media and they see these numbers, um, you know they just engage people by algorithm, and then these people are very unkind to acting. The kind of acting that they give out,
Mm.
it's not something that you want to sit back to begin to analyze.
You,
But
you see,
because
sorry, Hilda. That's one of the problems I find myself having with Nollywood. Not that I want to be very critical, but what you just said here, it makes me, because my wife will always be excited about, let's watch this movie. There's a new one. There's a new one, and then I sit through some Nollywood movies and I say, no, I can't possibly sit and be watching this. I like, no, I can't. Just how could someone put this out and want me? No, they don't. I don't care. I cannot just give you my time. It's not fair on me because you know that this person has been very lazy. Even me, okay, maybe because my love for art is and creativity started from my childhood. I've acted some. I sing. I do a lot of things. I'm hoping to do a movie here in Toronto. So
Mm,
I've always been interested in acting. So maybe that's why I can I can detect BS in a movie or in a production, and I don't have the patience for that. I really don't. Honestly, I don't, because I just don't have that patience. So when people see me saying that there are only a few movies, and you're right. Right now, it's all about algorithm. It's all about how many people watch the movie, how many that. No, but that's not what it should be about. It's a piece of art. The whole movie, the whole production is a work of art. In the
yep.
beyond this, it's everything. It's the music, it's the people, it's even the graphics. Just by your opening graphics, I could be turned
Yep.
off. Just by your opening graphics, you could have a very good movie, but then you were how could you have spent weeks and months of shooting, and then you forgot that, the opening score, let's just get one graphic guy, just paying, and then no, do you understand? And yet in some movie, look at something like James Bond. You see the opening score, that it's a whole thing altogether. Do you understand? That
Yeah.
alone is something that you go and be watching. How would the
You know,
next
that's
day?
that's
Yeah.
the part, Chidi, that I think that perhaps we need to start advocating that it's okay for you to find people based off of algorithm, but you must um endeavor to train them. Do the best that you can to train them, so that, yeah, at least that would be an added advantage that you have done to that person, and the person would now know the importance of getting trained. Otherwise, we're going to keep having the mediocre kind of acting, and then even in the storytelling, so you have disjointed stories,
Mm-hmm.
calls not working, lights inappropriate, like everything not working. Nobody's saying it has to be extremely perfect. No, we're not saying that. We're saying over time we should see the improvement. If
Mm-hmm.
you get introduced, we should see improvement. 5 years from when you come in, we should see improvement. We're not seeing improvement based off of the number of films that you're given. We're seeing improvement based off of your acting skill, the prowess, how you have grown from one script to the other. Not
Mm-hmm.
that people just force you on us, because there's something about public and perception. If I keep throwing the same filth at you, over time you may begin to see filth as confettis, and you may begin to like them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are at, when it comes to poor interpretation of scripts, or poor scripts, or poor storytelling, the scores and all that comes together to make a good film. So we see that, it's not working. When we first started, there was something that became almost like a background sound for us. It was never taking our lights and generator working throughout. So so you would have generator sound at some point. The sound man would say, everybody quiet, I need to take environment sound. When we first started, nobody's told us anything about environment sound, and then he would take that silence, that stillness, and then when they go to the studio, he would lay that quietness to cover the generator sound. That was how we gradually got off the generator sound. So now you would hear it in some, but not in all of them. But at that time, it was in every single movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that has grown, changed over time. The second is lighting. When we first started, it was either pure, like all full lights, and everywhere is so bright. And then after a while, darkness was darkness and light was light. But with time, people began to say, "Oh, we want to have colors." The color palette for this particular character is orange, is brown. So we want to see the costumes in that color. And please, when you are in her scenes, please can you give us soft lights, because that's what we want to create with this character. We didn't have that before now. So we're getting better, and we're also not getting so good with certain things, because again everyone is looking commercial.
Yeah.
What am I going to do to make a whole lot of money? What do I put out? And I don't know if it's because a lot of people are not very happy, so anything that makes them laugh now seem to be the medicine, so they don't want
Hmm.
any serious movies. So put anything together that can make them laugh, or what do you call it? Mindless entertainment. That's what everyone is more focused on. So somebody can begin to tell you, oh, in 2 days I had 2 million views on YouTube. I had 1 billion views on YouTube and all of that. And then you say, okay, let me go and see this 1 billion views on YouTube. And you're not even able to last the first five. And then
But
you
you
just
see,
leave.
nothing, nothing can beat originality. For me, it depends on what one set out to achieve, right? If you want to do a production that will outlive, that will stand the test of time, okay, that will always be referred to in history, you have to pay your dues. You have to take time and do it how it is done. Like, there are no two ways about it. Life is very simple. Okay, I'm an architect. I'm a builder. Okay, you can't. There is no two ways about you having a sure foundation. A good foundation means that your house will last long. Okay, but then you can also have a house built on nothing, like you just built it on sand. Of course, it's going to appear beautiful. Everybody's going to come on the day they launch the house, a million people, because they have money to bring them. But
Mhm.
all that doesn't mean the house is going to last.
No,
We
no.
already know that that house will not last. It's just a matter of time before it comes down. So people can go ahead and do their wish wash productions, be lazy about it and all of that, make all the money because they are focusing on what is trending, okay, and they know how to finish the production, push it out there, push it, they use money to advertise it and get all that. Yeah, but it's not going to last. That is why today we're still talking about living in bondage without all the sophistication, without all the things that you're talking about now. The light, I'm sure in living in bondage, it was either black or white. It was either there was light or there was no light. And you
Oh,
had
there
to
was no light.
shoot
Yeah.
a lot of scenes during the day when you had to do outside.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you were
Yeah.
avoiding sitting inside.
A few
Anyway,
people a few people are doing real good jobs,
yeah, I
and
know,
we
of
must give it
course.
to them. But you have more people playing around the edges of BS, and you know, it's all part of it
Mm,
for them. But for us, we think, why don't we've managed to build one thing that is 100% us, um, built by Nigerians, consumed first by Nigerians, and today the world knows Nigeria as a result of it. So
sure.
having done that, it should be our envy, and it should actually um, give us boasting rights.
But you see,
Therefore,
that's
therefore
where
we
that.
should.
Sorry, I'm cutting you. That's where I have a problem. There's not until recently you have Afrobeats, because that's another thing that I think has done it again for us. But before Afrobeat, you had this Nollywood, which you just correctly introduced as something that is by Nigerians and first consumed by Nigerians and now by everybody else. I don't think enough recognition has been given to that, like it would have been done elsewhere?
You know why, right? First is the system where we have found ourselves is not a system that encourages ingenuity. It's a system that encourages mediocrity. It's a system that um, even when you introduce something to government, for instance, and they don't see the picture, the usable picture of it, they're not interested. Recently, they started attending festivals and attending premieres and all of that. And what they're seeing and talking about are numbers of people and taxes. How much is made, how much Nigerian government should take, forgetting that this industry is doing for Nigeria what Nigerian government is unable to do for herself,
For sure.
right? We're employing more people than Nigerian government has been able to employ. We're helping people get educated informally and formally. We're helping people create sustainable wealth through this platform. We're exporting Nigeria's culture. We're exporting the name, brand Nigeria, to every other part of the world. What people know as Nigeria is not what the ambassadors are saying. We are the real ambassadors of Nigeria, is what Nigerian performing artists and sportsmen are saying about Nigeria. That's what the ambassadorial responsibility is, not the ones that they think they are ambassadors. The ambassadors don't even go to some of the places that we go to when we carry brand Nigeria out of Nigeria. But what they see from all that we're doing is how much taxations they can level on these people. And sometimes they're double taxing, triple taxing, and like all sorts. Now, um, I like to use India. India has continued to market their culture. It doesn't matter how many other Hollywood films come out of India or how much Hollywood wants to infiltrate India. Does not matter. India has maintained the Indian culture and virtue as seen in their movies. We already all know that whatever it is you want to do, the Indian woman is going to wear that her Indian sari.
And they're going to sing.
Yes, she's going to sing, she's going to
They're going to
dance.
dance. There's going to be a
Whatever you
group
do,
dance
yes, whatever you do, you're going to see them in colors. You're going to feel the
everywhere.
architecture.
Yeah.
Yes, you will see that they have more than one God. It's your business what you do with that information. But they're saying to you, this is who we are. For me, that's what we should be encouraging. For me, what Nigerian government should be doing right now is creating platforms that would enhance um, creativity, enhance creative thinking, creative thinkers, encourage them to introduce this kind of knowledge through every other thing that we do.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. With I'm talking about infiltration. What do you think? How do you think Amazon Prime and Netflix and other people who are now interested in our movies and collaborating with us, what do you think they've brought to the table? Has it been for our own good, or do you think that's
You know,
something?
it depends on what we want to look at, right? They have come with some money. And then if you ask me, the money may be good for the industry and for people to have better earning powers. But what else outside of that have they come with? Really, you know that there's a difference between indoctrination, right,
Yeah,
and information
sure.
dissemination,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Um, what stories do they want to push? What stories do they want to see? What stories are they encouraging? What picture of us? do they want the world to see? Because whatever you put on their platform is the same as saying this is going global. What kind of story about us are they telling? If we say, oh, um, they I think I was listening to some news today, and there's this story that either the Pentagon or the CIA has a budget for film, and they have done quite a lot of films just for people to see their perception, the perception they want to sell of the US, right?
Mm-hmm.
What perception are they helping us create or sell? I mean, the Netflix and Prime. And look at the movies there. Are those our best works? Is there
Mm-hmm.
something, is there a narrative that you can find running through? What exactly are they doing? But the money is good for everybody. And so right now, it's the money everyone is looking at. Two is the works that they are commissioning. Who is keeping the rights to those jobs? Who do they belong to? Are we creating things that we will not see? You do know that right now, a lot of the first set of movies that we did and gave to everybody else, NT and Co. and all of that, they can't even find them. Some of them were
Mm.
some, we can't even find some scripts. We can't. They're just gone. We can't find our rushes. We can't find the final cuts that were given to these houses to show and all of that. So again, let's ask this group of people, what are they doing? How long are these works going? Now we know that we can save this. We can store them up in the cloud and all of that. Again, how safe are those places and those things?
So who
But
can do this for us? Who can how are we able to do this? Are we able to protect this?
well, we have to have our own curators, right? We have to have our own curators. We have to be deliberate about saving this wealth. This is big wealth. This is, I mean, we hear it every day. Data is the new oil, blah, blah, blah. And these productions, they're bigger than oil. They are. Um, just look at one movie on YouTube after it hits its first 1 million streams.
Mm.
Just look at the figures going forward, right? What happens, how much the one producer makes in through that film in 1 month, right? So it's a lifetime of making money. When you're done, your
Mm.
children can continue because it's
Mm.
still there anyways.
Yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah,
can actually go back and remake what you made before and
yeah.
still put it out for the new generation
Mm.
after. So we need to begin to also look at these things as wealth. Look at it as wealth, encourage it, and create some of it for saving our history.
So is
For
there a way that, okay, for instance, the organizations that you have in Nigeria, like the AGN and all other, is there a way government can enforce this? What kind of government would we have that will be able to say, oh, thank God, there's this kind of a department in government or within your professional body to be able
people
to.
need to first understand what we do. You need to understand that creative works, especially around the performing art, is not something that is easily understood by people who are not practitioners.
Mm,
So when non-practitioners discuss um, rights, for instance, discuss the rights of film, like who owns what, they don't understand it when we say it's collective, because the photographer has rights to his pictures, the sound person. So what they're doing now, for instance, is um, uh, um, let's say Netflix commissions a job, right? And Netflix says this, you are talent for hire, and you have been paid one time final payment for this. So in but they reserve the right to this work in perpetuity.
mm, mm. Mm.
So now for you, you might just look at the first bulk heavy money, which at this time looks like big deal, but in the long run, is it?
So that's my
But
fear. So that's my
uh
what if they infiltrate, invade, and yes, everything is like
but
Chinese.
Chidi, they're not forcing us. They're not insisting. We're the ones who should know what not to let happen. They're not forcing us. They've come with what they have come with. Um, Sometimes it's also our own people who tell them, "Oh, what you have come with is too much. What you want to use to do one, I can use to do three."
Mm.
So it's the mentality of it. I don't want to say slave mentality. I just think that people like pain Olympics. They like to be participants in enduring some kind of pain. So so
It's, I
I think it's us. We need to decide for ourselves what to do. Have you ever gone into any Nigerian museum? What do we have in those museums? Have you ever thought about it? So our system to this date, this is 2025, we still do not understand the meaning of the word preservation.
Mm.
We still don't. So people are preserving. When we went to Elevate Africa, Tenny said something and nobody paid real serious attention. Tenny said, "Our rights are going, our rights are going. We're losing our songs, we're losing them to the kind of," and nobody paid attention because what she was saying at that time is, we're doing collaborations with this person and that person. Most of these collaborations we don't have rights to.
Exactly. You see, even me that's not a Okay, so let me give you my layman's analysis of this. I always go back and forth with my wife with these things. We nobody took us seriously with Afrobeat. But then when I saw the way Afrobeat was going, I told her, watch out. This is going to blow up. You just watch. This is going to blow up. And for sure, it blew up. Before, nobody took us seriously. And
Mm-hmm.
then they started listening. And
Mm-hmm.
then COVID helped us because
Yeah.
COVID made every other person was not doing anything. But trust us now, we
Yeah.
found a way to make,
Everybody. Yeah.
yeah. So we put music out there and people like, the baby calm down and then those songs. So they started listening. And from starting to listen, then they wanted to collaborate with us.
Yeah. From
And
COVID, a lot changed. A lot changed within the creative space. From COVID.
everybody wanted to collab. So
Yeah.
then once I saw them, the Chris Browns, so many of them started collaborating with our guys. And then I started expressing fear again because these people, they don't just love us like that. This kind of love is very suspicious. All of a sudden, they're just
and
loving.
and we hardly do studies.
You know?
Okay, so let me give you an example. You are in Nigerian university and you have to do a research. You want to research into Greek mythology,
Mm-hmm.
5th century Greek. Meantime, you have Newi mythology
Mm-hmm.
that is sitting down there for you,
Oh, talk
and
to
you
me.
don't want to write about Newi
Talk to me.
because somebody has told you that every story about the deities of the Newi people
It's
is
occultic and
diabolical
demonic.
and demonic. But you want to write about Greek, that you
Mm,
don't know where to
mm,
find tales,
mm, mm, mm,
because you want to read something that somebody wrote for,
mm,
centuries ago, and
mm,
it's in some book,
mm,
so that's all you want to do. But
mm.
in truth, you're just stressing you and stressing everyone else. We hardly even do studies on ourselves, on our stories. You would hardly find research on studying, let's say, the movies of Funke Akindele or the movies of Omoni Oboli or the movies of anybody. Just take anybody, and say all you want to do is to examine her style and we save it for posterity,
Mm.
right? We don't want to do that. That's just, I don't know where we get all those ideas from, but that's who we are. We just build and allow people come in, tell us anything they like, and destroy all that we have built. So I don't
You
like
know,
it, but you need more people on your side.
well, yeah, now you see, I've been restraining myself so much because the more you talk about things happening in Nigeria, the more it keeps pushing you to,
To say more.
like, because, like, whenever you see that things are not being done in a certain way, you knew that this was like an easy thing to do. Had there been, had things been working in a certain way, or you had people in certain positions, right? And when I got your contact, the person warned me, says, don't discuss. So don't discuss politics with her. If you discuss politics with her, I'll hate you. Don't even go there. So I made a vow. I swore that I will not discuss politics. So I will restrain myself. I will
Okay.
try. Yes, I will try not to. Well, we'll see how that goes. But you see,
That's fine. I know. I mean, I agree with the person.
yeah.
We try to act like, politics is not our thing. But the
Mm,
sad part of politics is that for as long as we keep excluding ourselves from that conversation, that time that long, it would also stay that whatever the people who shouldn't have been there in the first instance but are there, every decision they make will be
you're
binding
bound
to
by it.
you, whether
Exactly.
you like it or yes. And if you don't like it, it's either you're speaking up and damning the consequences, or you just decide to shut up and say nothing and then watch you decline every day, or watch your business be destroyed, or your family torn apart by the things that they will do. Nobody likes to live outside of their home. Nobody. I don't
Yeah,
think I
trust
don't
me.
think you prefer to be in Canada than to
No,
be
no,
in
no.
Nigeria.
I'm telling
But
you.
but but you like, what do you want to do really? What do you want to do? Who do you How long are you going to keep fighting for? So sometimes you just look at it and you say, you know what, time to move, I beg, before these people kill me before my time. So I get it when people say, don't let her talk politics because she will blow up,
I
she
know, I know. So,
so
so I'm
yes,
gonna,
let's
I'm, gonna- I'm
let's
gonna,
leave it alone.
I'm gonna stay away. I'm gonna
Let's
stay
skip
away.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's skip it. Let's skip it. Let's skip it.
So, anyways,
Let's
so
just stick with it.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I wanted to talk with you heart to heart, one on one, just because of who I know you are, and you know what, you don't really have to even discuss about certain things. Just by being you, by sharing you with people, a lot. Somebody who is really interested in learning, they will learn a lot. I mean, you learn a lot about how to act when you are dealing with people, how to protect yourself, how to defend what you have. Even talking about um our our museums, and
Yeah.
what we do with that. I I'm a trained pastor. Okay, the doctor in my name is Reverend Doctor Chidi, and but people, it's difficult for. Oh, I seem to have lost her. I hope it's not the network there. I'm going to hope that she comes back to us. I really, really pray she comes back. But what I was going to say is that a lot of people find it a little bit uncomfortable to say, "Oh, you're a pastor," and then when I begin to put up some stands, how I see life, how I see certain things, they even become more animated. They're like, oh my goodness, I think you have backsliding, or you are speaking blasphemy, or you are saying things that are not in line with maybe Christian beliefs or even religious beliefs. And when it comes to art, we you can see that what we have done with art, and what we're okay. Okay, you're back. I'm gonna bring you up now. Um, okay, what do I do now with this? Okay, I'm gonna go here and then exit solo, and there.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you so much. So I was saying that yeah, when people hear my opinion when it comes to what we do with our art, what we do with our artifacts, they're kind of shocked, and they think I'm walking a very thin line, between somebody who has backsliding, somebody who's no longer born again. Your reverend doctor, you're talking like this. Can you imagine? Or, or they think, no, you're not a real pastor. But I tell them, when they come out here, people who are very religious, they book tours. When they go to Mexico, when they go everywhere, they book tours and they take them around museums. They take them around very, very interesting sites, historical sites. And they pay money to go to this place. Even when they go to Israel, I'm like, have you noticed that even when you go to Israel, they still take you to shrines, and you come in front of the shrine and you take pictures. They didn't destroy their shrine, but you're busy destroying your own. When you go to Rome and all these places, Rome with the Roman Catholic Church and everything, they still have all of those altars to Zeus and the sun god and the
Chidi, it's us. We don't
oh my
know. We
god.
don't know what we do to ourselves. We don't. We don't know what we do to ourselves. We almost got to the point where even some of our dances, they will tell us, "Oh, that is juju. That is that. That is that." And then they will call all kinds of names. Then you travel. You go to London and you find out that some masquerade is looking like Ijele.
You understand? It's funny. Actually, I did a video where I think it's around is it Croatia or one of those Eastern. They have masquerades. Actually, they beat drums. I'm
See,
telling
let me
you.
tell you. What's it now? Wakanda.
Yes.
One of the soundtracks is actually drum beats. The one of those dances that you saw me do, it's the drum beat of our seven ports.
Can you
One of the
imagine?
soundtracks, yes, one of the soundtracks. One
See?
time when I was teaching acting and sounds, reacting to sounds,
Mm-hmm.
I used one of them, and somebody said, "Ah, what did you guys say? It's from Wakanda." So they're already using our sounds, and yet somebody wants me to believe that there's something demonic about those sounds. It
So we're
makes
going.
no sense.
So we're going to
It makes no
do.
sense. So if we don't preserve what's ours, people are going to give what belongs to us funny names just to claim them, and they
Of
will
course.
claim them, and we
Of
will
course.
have no credit to them. Our people are sitting down and creating sounds, creating musical beats, and all of that. They're creating sound bites, they're creating taglines, and all of that. Nobody is keeping the rights of this stuff. One day we're going to hear that the taglines that we have created um, are only copyrighted for us within Africa. So anybody anywhere else can use it. Or they'll tell us it's only copyright to us in Nigeria. So anywhere else, anybody can use the same tagline. But they won't say that of their own brands because you don't know. And then some of us will actually come out and say, "Oh, ignorance is bliss." No, it's not. Please
Mm-mm.
get educated
Yes.
and get informed. Don't come rubbing your ignorance over every other thing that we have. Let's
Exactly.
let's deal with these things with some level of understanding. Let's engage. They have a few things that we don't have so far. our system has not encouraged people developing um, equipments, right? So we would still get equipments from there. But every day, people are getting more technologically savvy, and they're beginning to understand how to use certain things. So maybe one day, one of us, one of our children, grandchildren, will be able to create cameras and lights and sound equipments and all of that. But for now, the ones that we have been able to create for ourselves, if we can create sounds from sticks and bottles and all of that, we can still do the same thing with equipments, with
Mm,
software.
mm.
Yes, so let's learn to just save what is ours and not rob ourselves of all the gifts of being able to create something unique. We rob ourselves of those gifts.
What I'm,
That,
what I'm,
that's
sorry, what I'm going to say to that, and without being penalized for doing what I was not, what I was warned not to do, is that until we get good leadership, we won't be able to move forward. I'm just going to drop that there. You know, we
Yeah.
agreed.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
but
I agree.
yeah,
I agree. We will
because
get it one
yeah,
day.
when we get it right, when we get it,
Yes.
because you can imagine heads like yours, you know, and let me also blow my trumpet, like you, like me. See,
They
it's
won't
not.
let us. Don't worry. They won't
That,
let
that's
us.
that's what I'm going
We're
to
too
say.
straight.
It's not prideful. It's not prideful. It's just a statement of fact that if Nigeria allowed its talents to just have their way, could you imagine the kind of country we would have? You know,
Yeah.
so that's just it. All these beautiful ideas, because you already know what to do. People like you, we know what to do. We're just waiting to be in a position where, like, look at this. You have restraints of funding, of equipment. So if you, and yet
We have
people,
restraints of even storylines. Chidi, do you know the amount of stories that you can find only from police files? Do you know the level of stories? Do you know the kind of crimes that these people have to deal
original,
with? So those are
original,
all storylines that nobody is making use of. They won't let you
original.
into their locations. You say you want to use the hospital, nobody's going to let you. Plus, you don't have anywhere where you can build a prototype. There's just so much working against all
I
of us
know,
within the creative space.
I know.
However, we're making the best out of the
Sure,
worst condition that anybody can work in.
sure,
Even at that,
sure.
we're still bringing the glory home, and Nigeria is taking all the glory, and they're saying to you, Nigeria is Nollywood, Nigeria is music, Nigeria is this, Nigeria is that. The same Nigeria
That's why.
needs
That's why you
healing.
guys are. You see why you guys are heroes, the real heroes and living legends. It's your ability to survive in the middle of all of. I don't know how you do it. Well,
Yeah,
for everybody who is a filmmaker, those of you putting us out there, I really lift off my heart for you. Okay, moving forward now, and
yeah,
I've kept you here for a very long time. I don't want to abuse that. So next time when I call you, I'm gonna call at the right time. I'm gonna
yeah,
call you and we will talk. We'll do some hard talk that we're avoiding now, but that will be for
yes.
another day.
No
Yes,
problem. That'll be
but
for another day.
yes, but for this now, what would you say to young people who are aspiring to, because again, I want to talk about the other dark side of the film industry,
Yeah,
and the easy one that seems to be dragging a lot of our people, and all the negativity. There's so much that is being put out there about filmmaking, about filmmakers, actors, people in the creative industry, all of those things. What would you say to young people of this generation who are thinking of getting in there, or who are consuming what is being shown to them and basing their perception of that industry based off of what is presented to them?
the
What would you say
first
to them?
the first thing I would say to anyone is, before you get involved, get informed, get educated, and you see, getting educated is more than just being in a four-walled classroom. Okay, get trained, find out about this industry, understand it, look for somebody who has succeeded in this industry, somebody that you want to be like, somebody that you want to break her record or his record. Volunteer, volunteer to serve. It makes no difference. You can serve as a PA, as just going there to help, as a production hand, as a runner. Volunteer so that you can learn on the job, you can get to understand the different departments that are involved, so that that way when you go for evaluation, or for auditions, you'll be able to say, okay, I'm auditioning, but I'm actually auditioning for extra, um, because I want to be a runner. And since I'm going to be a runner on this set, I want to be able to do the extra, because you already know where you are going. And then, you know, do that. Then also importantly is the fact that you don't give up. It's an industry of a lot of no's and very few yes. You can attend an audition 200 times and get only one yes and 199 no's. So you have to learn also how to take no and not see no as rejection, but see no as a springboard for better training, you know, as something to help you do more so that you can get to where you're going. So prepare for that. Prepare also for the very redundant hours. There are lots and lots of redundant hours in the life of a filmmaker or an entertainer. There are times when you may not have a job, that you would need to create your own job or use to recreate you and revitalize you, or your body and your mind and spirit and all of that. Do that for yourself and just tell yourself, I have the no giving up spirit. I'm not giving up on this. I'm going to stay consistent and committed to what I want to do. And I'm just going to keep aiming for the top until I get there and surpass that height. If you listen to everything you hear and assume that everything you hear is what it is, you will lose. If you also think that all there is to this hard work is fame and fortune, sorry, you may not get any part of the fame or the fortune. You may not. You don't have, you need to also understand that you don't have any hand in which firm would sell and which would not sell, right? So you could do 100 films and no one will give you the star status, because no one will hit really that mark. So for you, it's about work, work, and keep working until you achieve what you want. You keep going. It's important to know that. It's important for you to know that it's better for you to die trying than to die not doing anything. So that's all I'm going to say to young people. This work is hard work. It's not the work for school dropouts, as they used to say. If you are not super intelligent and you're not willing to subject yourself to discipline and training, you will fail. So don't allow yourself fail. Subject yourself to the discipline that is involved. Subject yourself to the training, and the sky will only be a springboard.
Thank you very much. So, what are you working on now? What is keeping you very very busy? What's your passion right now? Because when you talk about the redundant hours, I know there are things that you dig your your hand into at a particular time. What are you doing now?
I'm working on first an acting training program, which already we have developed 26 episodes of, and
Mm.
yes, and then I'm doing a social political commentary program as well. So I'm doing this too, and they're running, you know, shooting simultaneously. And I told you I just finished a job that got a nomination. So I'm still doing my film, but importantly is also that I'm in school. I'm both a student and a teacher.
Oh,
I'm
what
both I'm both a student and a teacher.
what are you
So
studying?
yeah, same thing. Women, gender studies, gender and development.
Okay, okay.
Yes, yes. So I'm doing that as well. So we need to just keep doing this, whether they like it or not. We all must succeed together. We can't allow anybody destroy Nigeria. No, it won't
Mm,
happen. If we
mm.
don't have a home for ourselves and our children and generations unborn, then we will not forgive us even after we've gone home to be with God. So it's important that we do something.
Yes. Thank you so much for granting me this my bucket list.
That's
And for,
nice.
yes, and for just allowing us access into your life and your passion, who you are. It's I really don't take it for granted because there's so much to learn out of it. You've taken us on a journey from how you began to where you are right now, and we can see the resilience. There's a whole lots of parts of you that are not even we didn't even touch here, and that it just shows the kind of person you are. Anybody that really knows you're a person
I'm a
of many.
multi-pod. That's what I'm
Yes,
here.
multiple.
I'm
And
a
the thing is,
multi-pod and I'm
every
practicing in all of them.
every part you focus on, you do very well at that part, and that in itself is something to learn. It's something to learn. It's you're preaching without preaching, you're speaking without even saying a word. And honestly, I can't thank you enough for what people like you and the lot. I told you the other day that you guys are an endangered species, and I know that very well. And I keep praying that you know, that's why I like what you do, that you are impacting and you are transferring yourself, trying to multiply yourself on young people, so that at least when you're done and gone, your legacy continues. That's what
Yep.
a lot of people should be doing, and we really appreciate you for that. Um, no, not last words.
Well, a last word, a sign off for this evening until we have time to have the conversation again. Maybe this time, have the time to talk activism and politics.
Yes,
Yeah, but today we have decided to deal with my first love, first life.
sure.
So thank you very much for having me. It's been a real great pleasure having this conversation. I look forward to a better conversation again. Yeah, and for everyone who's joined and those who would watch after this, thank you so much for
Thank
giving me another opportunity.
Thank you very much. And from all of us here in the Toronto studios of Worship Media, my name is Dr. Chidi, and on behalf of Dr. Erica, I want to thank you for being with us. And I'll see you guys when next we are live. Thank you. Bye bye.